if someone like Tony Busby wants to go with my world, this is my world, talking about celebrity and then lawsuits and so forth, you go meet people like me along the way. So, maybe you'll think twice. But this is the guy who represented Shannon Sharp's accuser. I think that, to me, I feel bad because I think now we're in a fight that is so, again, I feel bad for the part I played. People, because it's not unusual for people to be what Shannon Sharp is now in terms of the record. It is very unusual for us to be in the place he was. But we all are going to get our turn in the better. All of us. I've had my personal grievances with any number of people. I haven't liked some of the things that Stephen has said. I haven't said that. I haven't liked some of them and been vocal about it. But now, we're in a fight that either we all work together and try to succeed, or we perish. I mean, look, allegedly that girl got $23 million. And after all that, he still gets fired from ESPN. Because here's the thing. I've never understood the fascination with young girls. Like, I like old bro. If you got a period, I ain't fucking with you, period. Menopause over. Right. You pause, you menopause. Let me tell you something. I like stress marks and hot flashes. That's the new thing to me. Ooh, daddy, me too. Go get a fan and let's split an actual condom. But there is this thing, and I didn't think anything he did was worth what he's going through. Just like I didn't think anything in that podcast, the result in the wake of that podcast, the men, the women, the people I've known, my own daughter in that wake of that podcast, I didn't think that it. I reached out to these people and I said, man, whatever part I played in this situation where we look so fragmented, I apologize. Oh, okay. So, but and before I wouldn't go on Shannon's podcast, now he will. Because I think that what they've done to him is so unfair. But you gotta remember this, the same way, watch what is happening in the way of somebody believing just because you say something somewhere that it's the totality of you, a human being. I'm watching her children, I'm watching her wives, I'm watching. Then I watch what happened when ESPN did what they did to him. His brothers ready to get an award in Hall of Fame. I didn't know. That's the only two brothers to get Hall of Fame. And rather than talking about that, so all of us, so I can hold these ideas in my head. And I hated what happened to these wives, these kids, these family members, and because of the things that people would spew on the platform. And I hated what they did to him. So I would only do it now because I don't want to be a part of a situation where it looks like we're not human beings, we're not fallible, and then this person's good, this person's bad. I just hated that this became a catch-all for all who wanted to shit on people, you go here. But everybody can shit on them. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, look, I just want to formally, on camera, apologize because when I was going through the whole thing with the Farrakhan misquote, that was an interview with you. Yes, that I did. That's what set it all off, of course. And you got kind of caught in the middle of it, and the whole time you stood by it. Yeah. You know why? The whole time. You know why? I'm not going to argue with somebody about the idea of it. I know the reality of it. And I don't think that I have to apologize to somebody for having a different answer. I don't have to agree with you. But I know that I fuck with you because I just I don't need to explain my choices to anybody. Yeah. And so to me, it's not even hard. It's a hard thing. Well, I appreciate it, man, because I was going through a bad time, and ultimately, I reached a point where I wanted to apologize. And I did. A few months ago, when I went on these podcasts, I was a good friend of mine as well. They've been in contact with me the whole time, and he's a huge Farrakhan supporter. Huge. That's why I wanted to do a podcast where it wasn't just going to be a cakewalk. I wanted to sit down with someone that was going to push back and put a hard line in the questioning, which is what he did. And my whole thing was, at the time, I made a mistake. Pride got in my way. I had people in my ear that were telling me to do a certain type of thing, hold a certain type of stance. But ultimately, it was my decision, and I felt I made a mistake, and I formally apologized. And look, some people say, oh, fuck you and your apology. But a lot of people, you wouldn't apologize to him. You apologize to them, exactly. But a lot of people, like for example, Killer Mike gave me a call right afterwards. Man, thank you so much for doing that. That means a lot to me in our relationship. The Lord Jamal came back. I saw it, everyone, made a big uproar over, oh no, he's coming back to the white man or whatever else. But see, me and Jamal had a real friendship. I saw him. That lasted for years and years and years. Maybe they don't know, but I know. Yeah, I'm not. Listen, I don't say shit on me. I don't hang out. You never see. I do pretty much what I believe. When you apologize, whatever was going on, I had a feeling about it. But I can't speak for you and your intent. But I was proud that you apologized when you thought you should. It wasn't like shit was going on fire. It's easy for a motherfucker to apologize when shit is bad. And I purposely waited so people couldn't say, oh, he's just doing it because his business is in fine. My business is fine. Oh, he's just doing it because so-and-so pressed him. Nobody pressed me. Nobody made me do it. I did it because I wanted to do it, and I waited for a certain amount of time because I wanted to do it really deep in person, so I had to make it down to Houston. In my schedule, like I don't travel around like you do, for example. So I had to plan a whole Houston trip and so forth. And ultimately, I stand behind my decision. It's nice to be able to talk about it because ultimately, it came from an edited video. The video was purposely edited a certain type of way to make Farrakhan appear to say one thing, but then later on, he explained his point better. That's the world we live in. That's the world we live in, man. And do you know how many motherfuckers I fucked with that I explained to people? I'm not feeling very good at it. Yeah. I watch, you gotta look at this. Some of the people you have on this show, I'm intimately associated. Like TK, like, when I see him from what he was and what he is now. I see you from what you were from what you are now. And I have a lot of these people won't comment on these things and never been in the same room with you. So it's a more 20,000 foot view. I'm not gonna be brazen, but I know this. I have more friends that I have to explain to people than I don't. But the people who I have to explain to people, they wouldn't get no matter what. They would, because you gotta be there. It's like a book versus a movie. When you write a book, people make their own ideas. When you make a movie, that's yours. I can't explain to you my book.
That's the sound.
Well, since our last interview, Diddy has been convicted of very small charges. And I completely predicted this. You watch my interviews right before you did. I said he's going to beat the Rico, he's going to beat the sex trafficking, he might get hit with prostitution, which is probably a slap on the wrist. Let me tell you something. I didn't even know that taking a woman across state line for the purpose of sex was illegal. I didn't know it was trafficking. I thought it was an anniversary. Because if I put you on a plane and we land, that means listen. You know what I'm saying? That's the implied. Now you could not fuck me local. You have to fuck black. You can. So I think, first off, full disclosure, I think that it probably was charged with domestic violence when I had this happen. Oh, I've always said this. And I feel like this was a domestic violence case that ballooned into a RICO and sex trafficking and so forth. The FBI ain't gonna get involved with nobody. Exactly. They can't, they won't put in jail for beating up a girl. It's not sure it's something bigger. It's not safe. And they failed. Right. And they overcharged and now, I think now that Puppy has not been found guilty of the most serious charges, he should get his baby oil back. Yo, Churchill, I think that you can win like here's what people are great at. People are great at dealing with the legalities of something. But loopholes are made for rich white men. Loopholes. Like, is it illegal? Is it immoral? They don't care about the morality. They care about the legality. What he did, you want to be able to do. And you can't say that jury is not adept at juries in that. You know, that courthouse right around the corner from my apartment in New York. And I walk by it.
Oh,
They
go.
Politicians, presidents, they let me judge rappers, media mogul. The fact that a seasoned
Oh my God.
age of 15 and out once this doesn't matter.
Oh,
even the judge didn't seem like he believed the gravity of the charge. So they tried to overcharge him and they didn't get him. But I think that doesn't mean he had done the whole thing. I think that it means they tried.
I just look, I've been very vocal about this, and I just feel that number one, it was proven that Diddy was not drug dealing.
Yeah.
Right. So this whole thing with Cassie and being the victim and so forth ultimately was disproved in court. Right? It proved that she was a willing participant. You know, and the interesting part was, like, for example, in her civil suit, she said the last time I saw Diddy, he didn't clean. A civil suit is one thing, but once you take the stand and you do an oath and so forth, and you're up on perjury charges, and the defense will probably like get up there and tell the truth, or else we're going to charge you for some of this stuff. Suddenly, it's like, oh well, yeah, we met up one other time afterwards, and we had consensual sex, right? Well, I thought you just
It's on the same thing.
Now that changes the whole dynamics of that statement, doesn't it? Doesn't it? You know?
I like it.
So that's what I'm saying.
Listen, I've said this a lot. I can hold these ideas in my head. I don't think he was guilty of what they charged him. I wouldn't want my daughter or somebody I love.
Yeah, I think most people, you know, don't want to end up with some other guys, you know, semen being used as a process.
But I'm not so strident, so certain. I'm not a fucking righteous crusader. I think you can be a horrible human being and not guilty of the things that a machine or a bureaucracy is trying to do. They don't compete for space and life.
Well, you actually criticize people who are celebrating, but
Sure. That's almost like, even if war shouldn't be celebrated. If you believe you gotta go to war, I shouldn't celebrate.
Trying to get on the shop
for your land, your safety. Taking human life or hurting another human being. I don't want to celebrate, embrace it. Like when I celebrated when OJ got off.
you did.
Don't you run.
But I was 20 years ago. I was a kid.
Don't run.
You know why I know he did it? You know why I know he did it?
Did.
You know why I know he did it? And I had
Won't
Johnny
send
on
you.
the show talking to him.
What?
He had an kid.
Yeah. But she
Yeah.
She had a kid. Okay, so here's the thing. I've had kids. Anybody you see me, so I want my big ass kid.
I mean, you brought the kid right.
That dog would either try to kill or was hurting.
Hold
That dog right there don't just wait around here. You see by the phonetic, he didn't know what to do. And those dogs always know what to do.
Like I do OJ, so
That's what I'm saying. If he didn't know him, it would have been two things. Either cut up dog or bit up nigga. That would have been all. I'm telling you, that's what I knew. I was like, you know, 80%, almost 80% of the convicted felons for sexual propensity in America are white.
yeah, I believe it.
So, I'm a comic. We save fucking kids. Y'all do it.
Figure it out.
Y'all do it. I don't know who's on the Epstein list, but I do know this. I know two things for sure. It was wealthy, rich white man, right? Who did it in front of wealthy, rich white man. I guarantee you, I'm not saying it ain't hard, but I guarantee you the only way So we always have conversations about crime, but we never talk about the crimes that they have comfortable talking about.
If you look, you do know. Like, I just want to interrupt you real quick. People always talk about how many murders happen in America, but on a per capita basis, America's nowhere near the top.
What I would say is this: that in a nation that claims to love God and democracy and civil order, we're way too comfortable.
Look, I actually just looked it up. I was, for some reason it hit my timeline. The total murder rate per 100,000. The number one country is what? Think it's
East Africa.
no, Jamaica. 49.3. Ecuador is number 2. Haiti is number 3. Honduras, Mexico, Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, Bermuda, Mongolia, and then the United States.
You know the funny thing about those statistics is, what do they have in common that we don't?
I mean,
Abject poverty.
yeah, that's what they're all third world countries so far. Until you get in America.
When you get to a nation that's supposed to be evolving, that's Western civilization,
Right.
it is way worse than people that are hard scrap.
Right, exactly. That's Bolivia, Pakistan, Turkey, Lithuania, Moldavia, Latvia, Morocco, Estonia. It's really, I mean, there are some primarily black countries. I mean, obviously Jamaica, but when you look at the top 10, it's not primarily black.
And
countries.
they have
There's a lot of, it's like, it's basically poverty, yeah. It's basically a lot of Latino countries and so forth.
That's right. Poverty.
Sure.
Poverty, though.
That's
None of them are rich.
No, but we are.
Yeah. Although Mexico is pretty big. I mean, Mexico is a
But
pretty
I'm not
big.
talking about the people at the time.
Yeah, the bottom, yeah. A lot of
The
poverty.
thing about us is,
Box.
and those countries aren't trying to tell other people how to live. Those countries aren't telling people, holding yourself up as a shining city on the hill. We're very, and the worst of us, do you know where the largest number of sex offenders, registered sex offenders, live in this country? The largest number, where they live?
I mean, besides the United States.
He can't be all of them. What's that?
What states? Please don't say California.
It's Texas.
Texas, okay.
By a lot.
By a lot.
There are more registered sex offenders in Texas than there's so many registered sex offenders in Texas. They can fill out Arrowhead Stadium. And the thing about it is, they're a state that prides itself. If we were talking about sex offenders, you would look at states that they consider to be more liberal, versus states that they consider more hard on crime.
Yeah.
Texas, you would look at it and they go, wow, they're so tough on crime. We have 60,000, they have about 76,000. By a lot. So they have more registered sex offenders. All while you're displaying the Bible in your school. Reading once in a while. And it's always interesting to me how comfortable white men are, particularly middle-aged white men are, with sexual assault.
Wait, you get stepped on.
If you look at the Catholic Church, if you look at the Boy Scouts of America, if you look at Penn State, Ohio State, who ran those schools? Who charged those people and tried to bring justice in? They were all white, and they all looked out for each other. So, if we're talking about crime, let's talk about insurance, but not just nitpicking or cherry picking the things you think. I think the protection of the children is the only thing that matters.
Well, speaking of registered sex offenders, you see the whole back and forth that Nicki Minaj had with Des Bryant?
Stop it, man.
Okay, so I guess Nicki some old stuff about Des, he's associated with Rock Nation, whatever, but she offered $10 million for Des Bryant to fight her. Des said, I don't play all that funny shit. Go get that $10 million cash. I'll stop that Edward out right in front of you. It's rock for life, bitch.
I think that how would he prove he's not what she says? How would he prove it? Like what would be the proving process? And she said she wanted to get $10 million for him to fight her husband, right?
And by the way, she's been using her husband as a crash out dummy for a while. She said, oh, Devin, what's your address? I'm saying my husband to come see you. It's like,
Catch
right. You say your husband going to kill you. So, you know, that's what's going to happen.
I just think, what is the point of it? Like, first off, it's boxers that have trained their whole life that will never see Timmy.
Right.
What do you prove? I think that now we live in this generation or this era where people throw out large numbers, but they're associated with small minds. Well, even if you won, would it be worth giving Timmy because your husband kicks somebody in?
My husband got no, the husband's 5'8" with a beard belly. That's why it's
Let me tell you something.
former NFL player, 6'3", pure muscle.
I know
So
a lot
how do you fight?
I know a lot of niggas who took ass when they shouldn't. I can't tell you.
I would put $10 million on Des Bryant myself.
You wouldn't put Timmy in.
Yes, I would.
Would you put Timmy in?
On Des Bryant? Yes. Absolutely. If I knew it was an actual fight between those two, I would take money out of my house. I would sell off my stocks. I would put $10 million on Des Bryant, 100%.
It's sad.
You don't know what happened, but yes, I'll put that money down.
Like, Ruffle, you know these theoretical questions, but you hit me for $1 million. Yes, today.
What is it at?
Right. You absolutely right. So I think it's theoretical. I don't get the point of it, but you know, that's where we are right now.
Well, speaking of boxing, September 13th, Canelo versus Crawford. Now, according to BetOnline.ag, Canelo is actually favored minus 172. Crawford is the underdog at plus 150, which means that you have to